Eric Trump has wrapped his contentious round of testimony in the New York civil fraud trial surrounding the Trump Organization's finances. And today, he fielded more questions about his involvement in his father's financial statements and about the tax status of his father's Mar-a-Lago residence. When Eric Trump finished testifying, he called the trial, quote, a political witch hunt and said, quote, New York is going to hell.
We've done absolutely nothing wrong. We have a better company than they could have ever imagined. And this is a big charade that's a huge waste of taxpayer money. And it's the very reason everybody's moving out of New York State, and I was actually one of them. It's sad, it shouldn't happen. I love this state. This state is absolutely going to hell. And it's because of people like the Attorney General of New York.
CNN's Kara Scannell is outside that courthouse. Kara, Eric Trump not happy, not pleased with what happened in there, what's going on in New York, he says. What else happened in that courtroom?
Well, Jessica, inside the courtroom, the focus was really on Eric Trump, and he finished his testimony about 4 hours split over these past 2 days. Now, during his testimony, he maintained that the financial statements that the judge has already decided are fraudulent. He said that they are accurate. He stood by them. And Eric Trump was saying that he was assured by accountants and lawyers about these financial statements, saying that when he had comfort from them that they were, quote, perfect, he had no problem signing them. He also said that he would not sign something that is not accurate. So again, doubling down on these financial statements at the center of this case. Now, he's finished with his testimony, and his older brother, Donald Trump Jr., testified yesterday and the day before. So next up is former President Donald Trump. He is expected to testify on Monday. That will likely be a tension-filled day. Donald Trump has sat through numerous depositions, dozens of them, though this time he will be under oath, live testimony before a judge he has criticized, and across the room from the New York Attorney General, who has attended the trial when he is there, likely sitting across the room from her, with the tensions expected to be very high. And Donald Trump having to answer questions about these financial statements, his involvement in them, the accuracy of them under oath, with so much at stake for his company's business in New York. And once his testimony is finished, which is expected to go the whole day, his daughter Ivanka Trump is expected to testify on Wednesday. She has tried to block this testimony, but so far it looks like it's a go, and it will happen on Wednesday. After that, the New York Attorney General's office is expected to rest their case. Jessica?
All right, Kara Scannell with the latest on the reporting there. Thanks so much. And I'm joined now by Anna Bower, who's the court correspondent for Lawfare. And Anna, thanks so much for being here with us. Just first up, we heard Eric Trump there in that clip leading into Kara. He was pretty fired up. This all sounds pretty familiar. It was perfect. I didn't do anything wrong. New York is at fault. What did you make of all of that?
Yeah, look, it is familiar. It very much echoes the sentiments that his father, Donald Trump, has put out there in the past. And I think that, you know, it was another tumultuous day in court for the Trumps. As Kara stated, they had to double down on these claims that, you know, they trusted the accountants, that they didn't know what was going on. But that seems to be something that's just not credible when, you know, they've been presented with these documents that bear signatures of Eric Trump, that certify the accuracy of some of these statements. So in addition to that, you know, I think that it kind of is a prelude of what we might see on Monday when Trump testifies. Again, like you said, you know, he has been saying this is a witch hunt over and over again. And I think that we are going to potentially see him echoing those sentiments once again when he takes the stand on Monday.
And you mentioned this, and we've seen this play out over the last several days as we've been following this, that Eric and Donald Trump Jr. essentially are saying, look, we didn't know, we trusted the accountants to do this job. Is ignorance a defense?
Well, look, you can, to some extent, potentially, you can still commit fraud even if there's reckless disregard for what was going on. So, you know, if you had nothing, if you had no knowledge at all, then yeah, to some extent, ignorance can be a defense. But reckless disregard is still something that is relevant. So it's even then, it's going to be a little bit difficult for them to show, you know, that they had no knowledge whatsoever of this. And you know, I also would mention something else that Kara didn't mention about what happened in court today that I found to be quite interesting, is that there was another dispute here again about the judge's clerk. Chris Kise, Trump's attorney, raised this issue or these allegations that, as I understand it, are baseless about, you know, the clerk being a partisan, biased person who's advising the judge. I think that it's going to be very interesting next week when Trump testifies, because of course there's a gag order on the case. He's already violated that gag order twice by talking about the judge's clerk. The judge, the last time that this happened, put Trump on the stand and found his testimony not to be credible. So Trump already has this history with the judge, a history with the clerk, and so I'm very interested to see how that plays out, especially in light of what happened today, where Eric Trump's testimony was kind of overshadowed by this dispute about the clerk and the allegations that Trump's team was making about her, again, as I understand it, without any sort of a basis to that claim.
Yeah, it's really drills home this Trump playing it out in the court of public opinion versus in that actual courtroom where he's seemingly not making any friends with the judge or the clerk and by attacking them.